Flat Earth Social. Meet others on the same level.
Come and join the truth revolution.
How about now?
Yes, yeah, we're good.
Right, Alex, if you talk, you have the floor, my friend, and come and tell us who you are.
Right, well, shall I share my screen? We'll share my screen in just a second. Well, I'm Alex Michael. I'm also known online as the Conspiracy Music Guru, and I basically take everything I learn and put it into a catchy chorus. That's pretty much what I do. And I've been doing that for the last, 8, 9 years, something like that. It's been very, very effective. And I think because of how effective it is, putting truth into music with a catchy chorus and putting those truth grenades out there where people can learn in like 5 minutes, it's so powerful that the powers that be, the powers that shouldn't be, have really, really censored me. And I'm probably one of the most shadow banned and censored musicians that I know of, certainly. So it's very, very hard to reach people right now, which is very, very frustrating when you put all of your time and effort into, creating this art form of mine, only to be sort of digitally removed, have your audience digitally removed. It's very, very frustrating, but the bastards won't get me down. I'll keep on doing what I do. Yeah, it is very frustrating, but I'm trying to find other ways to get this message across. And I'm now finding myself in a position where I'm doing, events like this and talking to people in the real world and having events and that kind of thing, because the internet clearly doesn't want me there. So I'm doing more interviews and trying to reach other people's audience, and hence why I'm here today and why I'm going to do a presentation. It's a very new thing for me, doing presentations. I never thought I'd be in this space of, being that talking head, but here I am. So it's going to be my very first presentation on 432 versus 440 hertz. I might stumble a little bit through my words, so please bear with me, but hopefully you'll enjoy some of the information. Shall I share my screen?
Yeah, go for it, Alex.
You, bro.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it.
Good luck, Alex. You can do it, son. Share your screen. I'll just wind you up.
Right. Can you see my screen? Oh, shit. Oh, I'm sorry about that. You weren't supposed to see that. That's an accident. How embarrassing. How embarrassing. Right, let's start with the first slide. So this is my very, very first presentation. I hope you like that. This is my very first presentation on 440 hertz versus 432 hertz by me. So the power of music, I don't think anybody really thinks about what they're listening to and the effect that it has on a biological, on a cellular level. Music has the power to affect us in hidden ways. Music has the ability to excite the pleasure centers of the brain through the release of dopamine, a neurotransmitter associated with pure pleasure. Today, extensive research has shown that music can speed or slow your heart rate, relax or jar your nerves, affect your blood pressure, your digestion, even your rate of respiration. Music can also affect your emotions and desires. It can have a very significant influence on your mental processes and in turn can influence an entire society. So do you think the powers that be know that? Of course they do. They know it can affect you on a cellular level. There's no organ system in the body that's not affected by sound, music and vibration. You can look at disease as a form of disharmony, says Dr. Mitchell Gaynor, an American oncologist, leading pioneer in integrative oncology. So he knew what he was talking about. So we know that the opera singer can shatter the glass. Frequencies and vibrations, when those vibrations are strong enough, so we're really talking about, a matter of amplification here. If you're listening to some music in a supermarket, it's probably not going to have that much of effect on you. But if you're listening with headphones to the wrong music in the wrong frequency, then it's probably going to have an effect, particularly if you're at a live gig. And that amplification, I think, can actually affect you on a cellular level. The frequency can disrupt, weaken, and even destroy structures, both physical and biological. Just as those correct frequencies can heal, align, and create harmony, the wrong frequencies can cause chaos, disharmony, and destruction. Again, do you think the powers that be, or shouldn't be, know this? Of course they do. So choose wisely what you tune into. I think this guy said it best, Confucius. Confucius. He said, if one should desire to know whether a kingdom is well governed, if its morals are good or bad, the quality of its music will furnish the answer. Now, I don't think he's talking about whether you should listen to Coldplay or Led Zeppelin, right? I don't think he's talking about what genre of music you should be listening to, rock, pop, whatever, R&B, blues, jazz. He's talking about the frequency. that the music is tuned to. So what do we know about what our music is tuned to? Well, we know it's in 440 hertz, which means the A above middle C is tuned to 440 hertz, which is 440 vibrations a second. The A above middle C is tuned to 440 hertz. Who is responsible for giving us this tuning frequency? Well, this guy, John C. Deegan, one of these high rollers, aristocratic elites, who was a member of like a million different secret societies and clubs. Deegan was well connected in many elite society circles. He was a charter member of the American Federation of Musicians. He basically founded it. A member of the American Association for the Advancement of Science, American Physical Society, American Acoustical Society, and a member of the Astronomical Society of the Pacific. He was deeply interested in astronomy, aren't they all? Geology, chemistry, and all branches of physics, particularly the theories of light and sound, and he was considered an authority on pitch and acoustics. Now, this is where you start to see the alliance between the Rockefeller, right? There's that name, Rockefeller. I don't know about you, but when I hear that name, Rockefeller, I don't think of rainbows and puppy dogs at all. I don't know about you, but the American Federation of Musicians, the very federation that this guy started, John C. Deegan. Oh, by the way, this guy, John C. Deegan, is referred to in the book called The 440 Enigma. The author of that book refers to this guy as the devil's apprentice, and hopefully after a few slides you'll see why. So the American Federation of Musicians received a grant from the Rockefeller Foundation in 1910 to make A equals 440 hertz the keynote tuning standard for America at their annual convention. It was this guy, Deegan, the founding member of the American Federation of Musicians, who was the final determinant in having this new tuning pitch and tuning standard for bands and orchestras. Now, with a very generous Rockefeller donation, there's that name again, he was able to build this huge music instrument factory in Chicago, which encompassed nearly an entire city block. Massive, 100,000 square feet. And this, thanks to a Rockefeller donation, a little, you call it a grant, a donation if you want, but it's a back pocket little bribe as far as I'm concerned. Now, this music factory, one of the largest of its kind, was making xylophones, vibraphones, marimbas, handbells, chimes, all kinds of instruments that could not be retuned. They were all tuned to 440 hertz. So when they left the factory, they couldn't be retuned, and they stayed in that tuning for 50 to 100 years. So yeah, as I said, this company specialized in percussion instruments. It falls under the genre of percussion. So yeah, xylophones, vibraphones, marimbas, chimes, all that sort of things, and they could not be tuned. So if you wanted to play with one of Deegan's instruments, you had to tune to Deegan's instruments. There was no other way. So what did Deegan do about this? So if you're turning up at an orchestra and they've got one of Deegan's instruments there, which were very, very sought after, they were very well crafted and beautiful instruments. If you couldn't tune by ear to the orchestra or to one of Deegan's instruments, he supplied. Don't worry, Johnny Boy's got you covered here. Johnny Deegan's got you covered. He provided a Deeganometer, they called it. Now these images I found on eBay. This is a real part of conspiracy music history here, and this was on eBay for like $200, and I really wanted to buy it because it's such a part of conspiracy music history, but I didn't press the button because I thought I could hear my missus going, "You fucking bought what?" and what? Look at the second image there. The image to the right there, it says A 440, like 440 vibrations guaranteed. It kind of reminds me of the toothpaste that says fluoride inside, right? That's how it reminds me, because I truly believe that 440 hertz is the fluoride of the music industry. So here's another image and a bit of information that shows the alliance between John C. Deegan and Rockefeller. This is the Rockefeller Memorial Chapel in Chicago. Deegan started producing these massive bell chimes that were installed in chapels and cathedrals like this. This is the Rockefeller Memorial Chapel in the University of Chicago, which is a permanently installed set of 32-note tubular tower chimes made by Deegan's Instrument Factory, of course, in 440 hertz. So there's still we see the alliance between Deegan and Rockefeller here. And he didn't just stop at this chapel. Oh, no. He went on to produce hundreds of these. There's an image of what they look like. These big. They were much cheaper than the big Carillion bells that we see in chapels and cathedrals today. So he produced hundreds of these tubular bell instruments, and from the 1910s to 1950s, they were lighter, more affordable alternatives to traditional cast bronze Carillion bells, and were installed in churches, schools, auditoriums, memorials, hotels, and other buildings across North America, and a few abroad. Guess how many systems of these he built? 440. Isn't that funny? They love their numbers, don't they? So there's another picture of these huge chime installations, and so they were all installed in these. So they're blasting this 440 out in public buildings, and so they're just blasting the towns and the cities with these chimes. And the Deegan Company realized that their enormous chimes were desired, apparently, by many communities which could not afford them. So they created a system of electronic chimes, which were used electronically amplified, sounds from a small set of chimes, which were then sent out via loudspeakers from the church towers and public buildings of smaller communities throughout America and Canada. And of course, the Deegan Company, they supplied the loudspeakers as well, of course. So, the Deegan electronic chimes allowed Deegan's vibrations to penetrate the most remote corners of North America to ring in the gospel of A440. So now we're pushing this sound, this vibration, and Deegan's supplying it all with, of course, the Rockefeller funding. And to this very day, Deegan's Carillion chimes and electronic chimes still continue to bombard America with their subtly subversive vibrations based on A equals 440 hertz. So this thing is spreading like a cancer, right? It's just going every. So it's just like, it's so suspicious. So hold on, I'll get to that in a minute. So not content with blasting cities and towns, and of course anybody that buys Deegan's instruments, not content with that. He wants to get it now on the radio, on the television, introducing the infamous NBC chimes. Now, I don't know if you've ever listened to NBC, but they still use this 3-note motive today. Bang, bang, bang. A little bit like the Heidi High. Remember that? Ding, ding, ding. It's kind of like a bit like Pavlov's dog, right? That bit like that. Like here comes your programming. Ding, ding, ding. When you start, it's like when you start to salivate, like bing, bing, bing. Here comes the programming, right? And this was all tuned to 440 hertz. So let me just read this. Making their debut in the 1920s as part of the NBC radio network, owned 50% by Rockefeller, there's that name again, that operated from Radio City Music Hall at Rockefeller Center, there's that name again. NBC Radio began to use their famous 3-note chimes as part of their station identification breaks. These chimes were heard on every NBC radio station across USA. They were rung on the hour and every half hour. Can you imagine that? The programming, that frequency, just a sheer bombardment. So they were rung on the hour and half hour around the clock and heard everywhere by NBC's audience. Still doing it today. The station's identification chimes became such a part of Americana that they were also used in dining cars on railroads to announce that dinner was served. Ding, 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 dinner served. They were sold as doorbells to households and toys to children. The NBC chimes were ubiquitous, seemingly heard everywhere throughout America. Perhaps it should come as no surprise that all of the NBC chimes were created by the John C. Deegan Company of Chicago, and they were all set to vibrate based on a keynote scale of A equals 440 hertz. So you can see the conspiracy here. Yeah, why spread this thing, right? So just to summarize a little bit, he's producing all of these instruments, these xylophones, vibraphones, marimbaphones, harps, handbells, all of these kinds of things that were very in high demand. And if you wanted to play with these fine instruments, you had to tune to them. So he's got all of these instruments now going out vibrating at 440. Now he's got hundreds of chime systems that are installed in churches, schools, auditoriums, memorials, hotels, and civic buildings. And now adding the loudspeakers as well that the Deegan Company produce as well. Here, we'll give you the loudspeakers, no problem. So now you're broadcasting this frequency into smaller towns and rural communities, then onto radio, and eventually onto television. So you could start to see the spread of this standard. So now it's Europe's turn. There was a very curious alliance between Deegan, Rockefeller, and Goebbels who started pushing this frequency into Europe. In 1939, an international conference in London recommended adopting 440 hertz as a standard concert pitch. Nazi Germany, represented through Goebbels, the propaganda minister, strongly supported, of course he did, strongly supported and promoted this standard. And there was much opposition from the French. Apparently, according to sources, 23,000 French musicians and composers signed in favour of keeping a lower tuning, often cited as 432 hertz. They argued that the higher 440 pitch tuning was harsher on singers and musicians and harmed music quality. But despite this protest, the 440 hertz recommendation prevailed. And the story goes on and on and on and on. And now it's just globally adopted. Sorry. I'm sorry, I apologize. It was adopted throughout the world. And here we are today listening to 440 hertz music. And this is the history of how we got here today. So these guys are the guys that brought you 440 hertz. Rockefeller, Deegan, and Goebbels. Now, let me ask you a question. If these guys made you a cup of tea, would you drink it? Because I fucking... You know what I mean? So, so what should we... So what should we... So what should we be tuning to? Now, a lot of people point to cymatics, and it's a good indicator. It's not a gimme. It's not what do you call it? It's not a massive go-to in my book, but I think it's a very good indication as to what's going on a cellular level, biologically, when we listen to this stuff. On the left is where I want to be. On the right is where Goebbels, Deegan, and Rockefeller want you to be. Right? This is what's happening on a cellular level, I think. This is an interesting guy, Ananda Bosman. He's done a lot of videos on 432, a 432 advocate, and does international speaking all over the place. And he's a musician and a composer, an award-winning musician and composer. And he stated, and I'll read the quote here: "Archaic Egyptian instruments that have been unearthed so far are largely tuned to 432 hertz. In ancient Greece, which is where all music comes from, right? Pythagoras. Their instruments were predominantly tuned to 432 hertz." And when I heard that, I thought, well, how the hell are these guys, ancient Egypt and ancient Greece, how the hell are they tuning to 432 hertz? It's not like they have digital tuners, right? I mean, I'm sure if Deegan was around at the time, he would be supplying his little Deeganometer and going, yeah, you want 440, mate. That's what you want. But they were just, for some natural reason, they were tuned to 432 hertz. Now, bear with me here as I do a little dot connecting exercise. Now, this guy who dresses like a children's TV presenter, to be fair, but I have absolute massive respect for this guy's musical ability. He has what's known as perfect pitch. You could throw any chord at him and he'll tell you what it is. You could throw any note and go, oh, yeah, that's B flat suspended 9. Yeah. And it's just like his musical ability is incredible. He's an incredible pianist, incredible composer, very good guitarist. But what he doesn't realize is this guy is singing in 432 hertz, but he just doesn't know it yet. Bear with me and I'll prove that. So just listen to this for a second.
So my natural state.
Now, just listen to what he says when he says my natural state is about 30 cents below the standard of 440. And he says this is a problem. It's not a problem He just doesn't realise that if he tuned all of his instruments and his orchestra, whoever he's working with, all of his problems would go away. Just have a listen to this. This was fascinating to me.
So my natural state is usually about 30 cents flat. Like I would hear F as like, that's where I hear F. It's weird, really weird. But so I have to sometimes transpose up now to the real key. But I find that my mother is the same. She has perfect pitch, and I've heard lots of stories of other people with perfect pitch who have the same problem. They start to drift as you grow.
But is it a problem, or?
I mean, it's only a problem when you rely on it. So sometimes, for example, like when I get the audience to sing, which is something I like to do a lot. Like there have been a few shows where I'll go out at the beginning of the show and I'll go, oh, everyone goes, oh, and then I sit down, I'm like, oh, no. Because there's no reference. So I always have to slightly think sharp nowadays, but I kind of enjoy it.
So in case you missed it, let me just recap there. He said he's got perfect pitch, and he said he sings about 30 cents flat of the tuning standard. He said his mother, also who has perfect pitch, has the same quote-unquote problem. And a lot of other people that he knows that have perfect pitch have the same quote-unquote problem. The problem is the tuning standard. 30 cents below 440 hertz is 432 hertz. So Jacob Collier is a massive fan of 432 hertz. He just doesn't know it. So when we go back to these guys that were singing naturally, I mean, I'm talking about talented people here. I'm talking about naturally gifted musicians that when they just sing, they sing naturally in 432 hertz. And I've tested myself on this, by the way. I will get up in the morning and I will just sing with no reference pitch whatsoever. And I'll sing, the higher you build your barriers, or whatever. And I'll pick up the guitar and it's tuned exactly to 432 hertz. I'm singing naturally in 432 hertz. That's what Jacob Collier does. That's what his mum does. That's all the other people do that he knows that have perfect pitch. And I think these guys would do, the talented people, the people with actual musical ability, when they sing naturally, they sing in 432 hertz. Some people say that, and I've not tested this, but birdsong and whales and all that kind of thing, it just seems to be this natural thing that when you open your mouth and you sing, if you have a natural ability, it's just a natural tuning in what we measure today as 432 hertz. Obviously, back then, they didn't know about Heinrich Hertz and 432 vibrations a second. They were just opening their mouths, and this natural sound came out, which happens to be what we can measure today as 432 hertz. He's singing 30 cents below 440. He just said it there. And he's singing naturally in 432 hertz. It's no surprise that the Aboriginals used the didgeridoo the Aboriginals used the didgeridoo to enter altered states, to enter the dream time, they would call it. It may come as no surprise that the didgeridoos are predominantly tuned to 432 hertz. And I've tested this. I've tested a bunch of didgeridoos on YouTube. I had someone on Facebook who's a didgeridoo fan and sent me. He said, "I'd love to know what my didgeridoo's tuned to." I said, "Well, blow in it, and I'll check it." It was in 432 hertz. So there seems to be this natural thing that people tune their instruments to because it just sounds good. It sounds better. It vibrates. It feels piercing, but in a good way. So I think the ancients, whatever ancients are, they were tuning to this frequency unknowingly, in this natural frequency, what we record and measure today as 432 hertz.
Hello.
Oh, so here's another band that records in 432, and just this is sped up a little bit just for time constraints.
Matthew and Doris Melton here from Dream Machine, and we're coming to you today from our home studio to talk about why we are using the tuning A equals 432 hertz as opposed to the current standard concert pitch tuning of A equals 440 hertz.
We first discovered the concept of using the A equals 432 hertz tuning after learning about an experimental orchestra in Bulgaria led by a conductor named Ivan Yanikiev that adopted the tuning for his orchestra after conducting a series of scientific studies on human tendency and measured brain activity. In the measured brain activity research, they used an electroencephalogram, or EEG, to monitor the brain activity of test subjects as they listened to compositions of both 432 and 440 pitch music. The compared results showed an increase of brain activity in the test subjects that received the music in 432 hertz, proving that the use of this alternative tuning method has a profound effect on its listeners.
In further research, Yanikiev began to examine archived sound material that he obtained from the Institute of Art Studies, including audio recordings from 1954 to 1979 of human speech and Orthodox chanting. he discovered that the clerics performing the Orthodox chants were unknowingly tuned precisely to A equals 432 hertz.
He discovered that the Orthodox clerics were singing unknowingly tuned to A432 hertz. Again, opening their mouths, just singing naturally, tuned to 432 hertz. Again, this is the guy that did the studies. This is a modern day composer. That his quote was, after first hearing 432 hertz, it was like, I think he heard a cello. I think he heard it for the first time in 432 hertz, and he said it was like I heard God speak, describing it as pure light and love. So there are modern day composers that prefer this tuning standard. This guy knew as well, Prince, when he was asked over 4,000 questions on a website, he chose this single question to answer. The question was, greetings, my dear brother, please address the importance of all music being tuned to 432 hertz. Thanks in advance. In which he replied, the gold standard. So what about the healing and the relaxation? Check this out. The next video. I mean, I've tested these Tibetan. These are Tibetan singing bowls, and I've tested them. And the ancient ones, the old ones, are all tuned to 432 hertz. Why? Now check out this next video clip and listen to the little sigh the baby lets out. It's so cute. Oh, we've got to play that again. Isn't that gorgeous? Isn't that just gorgeous? So 432 hertz, like calming, relaxing, clearly.
What stream and get to the band?
I love that video. I love that video. So what about the actual healing effects of 432? This is a guy by the name of Jamie Buturf. He's the guy that got me into 432 hertz, like in 2012. He was talking about his chakra tones and 432 hertz healing and everything, and he invented an A432 hertz music call based on like Marco Rodin's math. There's a lot of stuff he goes into, which is a little bit over my head. You can check out his channel. It's called Jamie Buturf, and he created this healing music coil based on chakra tones and 432 hertz frequencies. And this, check this out. Again, this next video is speeded up a little bit for time constraints, but see what this stuff can actually do.
On 9 October 2010, I have received the dubious honor and pleasure of a active mortar round, being the recipient of what was an actual live mortar round that was a practice round, but it was discharged. It failed in flight and didn't go off right away. A little guy went over to, he was fascinated by this thing, all the falling leaf, the tail section with the tail feathers. And those of you who have been in the military that know what the old mortar rounds are like, the tail section is the business end of the puppy, especially in a practice round. And they're only 20%, they make a big noise, they don't drill a hole in the ground when they land, but this was at a large gathering of youth, and they had a demonstration out that was demarked off, but this one broke open and fell short. I went over, so I saw what happened, pushed the little guy out of the way, and grabbed the live round, the remainder of it, by the tail fins, and was in the process of throwing it into a ravine, and it made it about an inch from my hand when someone with their little iPhone caught it on video when it went off. And it set me on fire. It picked me up and threw me back a little ways. It drilled a hole in me, actually. Left me with some shrapnel and some first and second degree burns all over, about 30%, mild burns all over. It got most of my hair, the hair on my arms, and some of my face hair was all singed off, and I had a mild sunburn everywhere. And some of my clothes, my polyester clothes. Polyester is not good when you're in a fire, but it drilled a hole in me, and there was some third-degree burn, soot and ash, and I was leaking hydraulic fluid pretty bad, and I was kind of screwed up. The doctor, which was a PhD neurosurgeon at the scene there. It was part of a reserve army unit. He said it would take about 18 to 20 or 24 months and 3 or 4 plastic surgeries before skin grafts before I would ever see skin growing over the injury again. We use 512, 432, and 256 hertz.
In the A432 tuning, the 512 and the 256 is the C, which I'll get into in just a minute. It's the note of C, or the heart chakra frequency. And the 432 is the A, or the crown chakra frequency.
And he designed this so that it runs multiple frequencies simultaneously, and it can run them both directions in 3 days, basically less than 72 hours. The first and second degree burn was pretty much gone. How many days? Okay, now we went through a series of where we were treating this area with the coil, and and rubbing, soldering it down with the vitamin aloe vera, and it would scab over. At first time it scabbed over, and then fell off. It was about 4 or 5 days. It scabbed over again and then fell off. And then it was 3 or 4 days, and 3.5 days, and 3 days, and 2 days, and it kept scabbing over and falling off. But how many days before there was new skin that didn't scab over anymore? It was actually 32 days, 1 month. The doctor, the unit, the surgeon that was out there at the accident that was trying to plug the hydraulic leak and everything else, he said it would be 18 to 20 or 24 months, and that I would need at least 3, if not 4, skin grafts before I had any decent skin on there. We have another friend that got cooked just recently. He didn't get burnt near as bad as I did in this spot, and his skin grafts, that was December 12th, a year and a half ago, and he is nowhere near, and he's not tanning on it yet or anything. But, Greg, you got that? Okay, here it comes, for all ladies. That right there is what's left of that injury. It's still kind of painful from time to time, and after the treatment with the coil, it was very painful for hours. The pain didn't ease up with the treatment immediately. It actually got more painful, and so it was kind of productive. I was thinking, oh, gee, why am I doing this? Do I like pain? But we kept up with the regimen, and what you see, this hasn't been treated for 4 months, 3 months, and that was 09 October when that injury transpired, and I was in bed for weeks. I was horizontal, stuck in bed. I was screwed up. There were 4 pieces of shrapnel that he said that there was shrapnel in there, and that it would have to be surgically taken out. But I told him not to sweat it. I'd take care of it. I had all 4 pieces festered out, and we're treating it with the coil and the volume aloe vera, and one by one these pieces of shrapnel festered out. Only 3 of them were metal. One of them was some type of composite plastic, but they slowly festered out, and they'd come to the surface, and and literally underneath the scab there was a pustule of white blood cells, and the scab would fall off, and one time the scab fell off and that pustule was there, and the piece of metal, a little triangular shaped piece of metal like a piece of pie, very sharp, was sitting right there and fell out into my hand. It all festered out, no surgery or anything. So
basically what you're saying is that the doctor told you that it would be a year and a half to 2 years before you would even get skin in the area, and with using music and the rodent coil, you essentially healed it in 32 days, 1 month. Is that right?
The coil, vitamin E, and aloe vera, and and the music frequencies, the natural harmonic music frequencies. That's it.
That's fantastic. I mean, that's fantastic. Thank you, John, very much.
Yeah, interesting, isn't it, eh? And you heard Jamie Buturf there talking about the 256 and the 512 and all. He's giving out all these numbers, and these are the A equals 432 hertz chakra tones. And when I first came across Jamie Buturf, 2012, he flashed this image up on the screen, and I thought, wow, that's fantastic. These really heal. Well, what if I started to put these frequencies into music and build musical tracks around them? So he's not the only one that's using these chakra tones to heal. So I created some albums. The third, True Solfeggio Volume 1, Volume 2, and Volume 3 is out on the 7th of the 7th. And I used those exact tones to heal, basically. And I never thought that they would actually heal, but I put these albums out as a kind of my own music experiment, if you like. I'll take those frequencies and I'll build tracks around them, and just, it's repeatable, it's testable, it's observable. And I started getting this feedback. And it's on my website, this feedback, conspiracymusicguru.com/true-solfeggio-reviews. There's a bunch of reviews there and testimonies that I managed to remember to keep. But here's just some of them.
Yeah, that's good, Alex. Well done.
Thank you. And those are just a few, like a handful. I mean, I wish I could play them all. I mean, I actually recorded the audio and read out all of the testimonials, but it actually came out at about 20 minutes long, and I didn't want to play a video 20 minutes long because of time constraints. But if you want to go onto my website, conspiracymusicguru.com, and click on reviews, you'll see all of them. Some really profound healing effects. This seems to be having a really profound healing. We're using Jamie Buturf's solfeggio healing frequencies and then putting music around it. It's having this profound effect. It's an incredible scientific experiment, if you like. So it was. So now I'm absolutely convinced that 432 hertz is healing, as I've showed you some proof there. And okay, that's me in 2012. Sorry about that. This was I included this in the presentation because I thought it was interesting. It's not like a slam dunk, if you like, but this is me having chakra and aura photography back in 2012. And for those of you that don't know, chakra or aura photography is an alternative practice that uses biofeedback sensors and specialized software to visually translate your body's electromagnetic field into vibrant, colorful imagery. It gives you a visual snapshot of your energetic and emotional well-being. So I'm sitting there in front of a camera, putting my hand in this machine, and it takes a snapshot, and it gives you like a readout of your personality, your traits, everything. It was like looking in a mirror. It was absolutely it was like fascinating. And I had two of these sessions, one before exposure to my solfeggio music and one after. Now, I'm not entirely sure that the chakra system exists. I lean towards yes, it does. But I don't know. The jury's still out for me. But this is very, very interesting. On the left, you'll see the chakra photography, or basically a readout of what my chakras, quote unquote, look like before exposure to my solfeggio music. You can see, in the lower chakras there, they're very cloudy, and God knows what's going on there with my penis. I really don't. but you'll see on the right hand side there that my chakras apparently are very, very balanced. And if you look at the crown chakra, there seems to be a glow there. Just this is just from exposure. This is a before and after exposure to the music. So I just included this in the presentation because I just thought it was fascinating, really.
First of all,
this is the next video is again speeded up a little bit, but this is Jamie Buturf's showing one of his studies that he did or had someone do with his chakra tones.
I'd like to start off with a study that just came out. It was done at the Center for Biofield Sciences. It was done by 4 doctors. This is a 28-page study that was done on my chakra sounds, which are all based on the A432 scale. And in this study, it shows that my chakra sounds and the 432 heal the body emotionally as well as physically. Now, let me just read the conclusion of this study. This is online, and you can read the entire study for yourself. All the information that you need to determine if I'm telling you the truth, is going to be online, and you can find out for yourself. But let me just read you the conclusion. From the pilot study conducted at the Center for Biofield Sciences in Pune, India, it can be concluded that the spiritual results music had a positive effect on the mental health of the participants who suffered from a range of conditions. Significant positive energetic changes were observed in participants on emotional level as measured by polycontrast interference photography, gas discharge visualization, and positive physical changes were observed in medical thermal imaging and the electrointerstitial scan. It would be interesting to note that based on the results seen in the MTI and the EIS, problems on physical level have shown mild aggravation during initial session of music, followed by prolonged relief seen in the scans after 7 days. Okay, so initially, what they're saying is that initially the body was like, whoa, what's going on? Because it's out of sync with the natural rhythm of the universe. Most of us are. Because of all the bombardment of all the negative and disharmonious frequencies that we're being hit with, our bodies are out. Look at all the diseases going on. Okay, so initially, the test subjects, I'll read that to you again. Initially, the test subject will show the mild aggravation during the initial session of music, followed by prolonged relief seen in the scans after 7 days. Further says, the results of the PIP and the GDV suggest that spiritual results music is helpful in problems which are related to emotions and in particular for the reduction of stress levels. Okay, so they were able to do this. Now here's some pictures. Okay, here's the medical thermal imaging. This is used in all the pharmaceutical testing that they do. They test drugs and pharmaceuticals with this type of imaging. We decided that we're not going that route. We're going to use the natural route of the natural frequencies of the universe, the natural healing frequencies. Okay, so there's been a lot of information. This study cost $6,000 to do.
Yeah, very interesting, huh? So he's not the only one that has studies. On my website, conspiracymusicguru.com/432 Hertz-studies, I have 5 studies there. These were given to me by a guy by the name of Matthew Rife, who is the great nephew of Royal Raymond Rife, who was the inventor of the Rife machine. Matthew Rife claims to have the blueprints and all of the journals of Raymond Rife. And it's... What the hell is that?
Alex, I don't know. That could be a fire alarm, mate. So, I'm not sure. No, we're not on fire. We're good. Carry on.
It's okay, bro. I've got solfeggio frequencies. It's fine. We're good.
We put it out.
Are we good to carry on?
Yeah, crack on, mate. No one knows what that was. That's all.
So these are the studies that were given to me by Matthew Rife, which is Raymond Rife's great nephew, apparently. And he's continuing his work, which I think is fantastic. So you can go to my website and look at these studies in detail, but I'm going to just summarize here with these slides. The first study was the effect of music at 432 hertz and 440 hertz on dental anxiety and salivary cortisol levels. Now, you can go and read all. I can give you these slides if you would like, but what's important here is the bottom line. Music helps reduce dental anxiety, and 432 hertz music provides greater physiological relaxation by lowering stress hormone cortisol levels. That's the first study. This is another study, effect of music on specific frequency, 432 hertz, on the sleep architecture of EEG patterns in individuals with delayed sleep latency. Again, you can look at all these studies and look at all the information, who was involved, blah, blah, blah. What's important here, I'm just, summarizing here. What's important here is the bottom line. 432 hertz music promotes relaxation by enhancing alpha brain activity, which may improve sleep quality, a safe non-pharmacological approach for better rest. Study number 3, influences of music on the perception of anxiety during endodontic treatment. A randomized study. Again, bottom line. Listening to music during endodontic treatment significantly improves vital signs and reduces anxiety, enhancing the overall patient experience. Listening to music tuned to 440 versus 432 to reduce anxiety and stress in the emergency nurses during the COVID pandemic. I know. But, they were stressed out. But this is the point is they're listening to music, particularly tuned to 432 hertz, significantly reduced anxiety and improved vital signs in emergency nurses during the COVID-19 pandemic. I think this is the last one. Music tuned to 432 versus 440 hertz for improving sleep in patients with spinal cord injuries. A double-blind crossover pilot study. Again, bottom line is what's important. Again, if you want to look at all the information, happy to give you these slides, and the studies are on my website. Listening to music tuned to 432 hertz significantly improves sleep quality in patients with spinal cord injuries compared to 440 hertz music. Oh, yeah. So one last thing. Oh, God, compression. It drives me absolutely mad. This is just another way that music is utterly bastardized. So when you take a song from my studio, I make a glorious song in my studio, and then you put it on Spotify. What they do is they compress it to an MP3. And when you do that, it loses about 85%, well, it says here, 86 to 87% of the original audio data. So it's removing all of those essential overtones, undertones, harmonics, like the general warmth and clarity of the song. So those people that are listening to 440 hertz music and as an MP3 on Spotify, I don't even think we're talking about music at this point. So please remember that when you renew your Spotify subscription. It's just not even music. It's just so bastardized at this point. So I think that might be the end of my. Oh no, here we go. So I take, if you really want to listen to good quality music in uncompressed 432 hertz, none of the MP3 compression, you can find them on my website, conspiracymusicguru.com/albums. Buy the uncompressed WAV files. You're listening to real music with the real intent, no bastardization, none of those overtones stripped out. They're not stripping out 85% of my music, Imagine creating something, giving it to a streaming platform, and they remove 85% of it. It's disgusting, really. So I think that is the end of my. Oh shit! Who the hell? Sorry, you weren't supposed to see that. You weren't supposed to see that. I'm sorry.
Oh dear, oh dear.
That is I don't know how that got in there. He told me not to share it. He told me not, and I've just totally ruined it. Sorry.
That was very funny, ladies and gentlemen. What a fantastic presentation!
Please give it up
for the wonderful Alex Michael. Stop sharing the story. Good man. He's back. Right, we do have a little bit of a question thing going on. I have a really about the bells, Alex. So I'm going to start right when the guy removed all the bells from everywhere and was replaced. Oh, sorry, he was replacing the bells everywhere. We were told. If you start looking into that, you see all the pictures with all the bells in the fields. We were told that was a Second World War effort. It never was in my mind, but was that the reason it was? They took all the bells out everywhere and replaced them with these scummy ones.
In my opinion, yeah. I mean, how very Rockefeller-esque to take something of healing and turn it into something of killing, because the narrative is they took these bells down to melt them into bullets, right? So it's so Rockefeller-esque to take something of healing, and I believe they were all tuned to 432, and they're turning into something of killing. So yeah, I believe there was just like Deegan was doing, by putting these chimes and everything to resonate the 440 across every city, every town. Before, I do believe that we had a more of a healing frequency to propagate this. So communities were feeling great when they hear these chimes. Now, I live in right near the Old Town, where there's an old church there, and I sit there sometimes and have a beer, and the bells ring out, and it's the most god awful sound I've ever heard. It's so discordant. It's like it jars your nerves. So I've not actually tested the tuning on them, but I feel it's like, oh God, what have they done that? So I genuinely believe that the original bells, the Carillion bells, and that kind of thing were in more harmonious to humanity. But I think they took them down for. Of course, the excuses are we need to melt these down into bullets and things. So I do believe that there was a more harmonious aspect to towns and cities, and I think they changed that. I think they bastardized it, just like they've bastardized everything musically, as I kind of presented there.
Yeah, excellent. We've got any questions from the floor? Because I've got a couple I want to go through if you want. To be honest, you've got lots of. It must be nice getting the testimonials, Alex, right? So when a listener reaches out saying a track has changed their mood and perspective, obviously that has a great effect on you. Does that give you more drive to go and create the same type of music, the same frequency stuff? Like, you've now got 3 albums in True Solfeggio, and they are really awesome, ladies and gents. It's an amazing feeling listening to them. Don't ask me how it works, it's just different and it's fantastic. But yeah, does it drive you to do more, Alex?
Yeah, of course. When you start getting that feedback and how you're changing people's lives, like music, it's like I'm a musical wizard in a way. And I'm standing on the shoulders of giants. This is not my information. This is Jamie Buturf's information. You saw what he did with the chakra tones and the 432 healing call. And I just took that information and put it into music. And you put it out there as an experiment. And all of a sudden, I didn't ask for the feedback. I just got it. And there came a point when I was getting all this information, all these testimonials. I think, I should really save these. These are quite profound. And when you start reading what you're doing to change people's lives from a healing perspective, from a spiritual perspective, you're like, wow, this kind of gives me a purpose. It gives me a reason to keep doing it. And I'm going to keep focusing on the solfeggio stuff. I mean, I've made so many conspiracy songs now, enough conspiracy music to wake a dead horse. So why keep on banging that drum and keep going, wake up to this, and you can keep doing that. But what's the point when I can sort of go to a different road and go, well, I now know these frequencies absolutely heal. They absolutely add to your well-being. So I'm becoming like a, the future of music really should be about sound and frequency. I think we'd be looking at a whole different landscape in terms of health if we were to make music like this. So when I receive that feedback, it's like, oh my God, I've got to do more. That's why there's a second album. That's why I'm releasing a third on the 7th of the 7th, and there'll probably be a fourth and a fifth, and who knows. So when you receive that feedback, how can you not continue to do this?
Well, absolutely right, Alex. So one of the other things is as well, it's the censorship. So you have a core people, you have lots of followers, etc. But how, with this rise in the censorship, the digital platform, it's terrible. How are you planning, or what is there a plan to get it out to more people? How can we fight the censorship through your music?
I don't think you can. I've come to I've just realised now that the internet doesn't want me there, because of this kind of powerful music, because of all the catchy choruses and all of I've literally listed every conspiracy known, but there's still a few more to do. But why keep on banging that drum, like I say? So now it's become blatantly obvious to me that the internet doesn't want me there. Every social platform has like really limited my audience. My audience has been utterly just digitally stripped from me. It's a crime, really. If this happened in the real world and you had a music store on the high street and they stopped people coming into your store, that would be considered a crime. So why isn't it not the same on the internet? It is a crime. It is causing me loss, harm, and injury. So what do you do in that situation? I can't take YouTube to court or Facebook to court. I can't do anything of that. So I'm now getting into the real world and doing things like this and interacting with real people and having gatherings and playing my music in front of a real audience. Doing it on the internet is all very well and good, and having those comments are nice, and those little internet hugs and pats on the backs are great. But I can't be on the internet. The internet does not want me there. How do I fight that? I can't. So hence, hopefully we'll sort of, start talking about the gatherings that I'm having, organised by myself and Mannal. So that's, I think, really important. And when we had the gathering last year, it just showed me how having, playing proper music, unbastardized in 4-3-2 and creating that environment was such an eye-opener to me. It's like, well, okay, can't do the internet anymore. Clearly, I'm not welcome in that room anymore. So why not bring it to the real world? I know the audience was going to be a lot smaller. I thought for the longest time, well, I can, reach more people from my, hiding behind my little microphone in my little studio here. And but actually, I think now is that I can't reach anybody online. I think I can reach more people in the real world, and seeing those essential interactions that we had last year, and people walking away so inspired and so invigorated from that music, from the it's just like, I want to be in the real world now. I want to get away from the internet and do it, face to face, and looking someone in the eye, and people actually giving you those comments that you saw, to your face, so that's a real important thing for me now, hence the Guru gatherings.
Well, that leads me nicely into what we are going to talk about next, is the Guru gatherings. When was it? September. Last September, we were all invited, or many of us were invited, to go to Alex's lovely home in Havana for something that I don't think it wasn't really a thing. He just sent me, he said, look, I'm having this thing, I think you should come. And that's how it was. There was the biggest and best collection of the most amazing truthers in one place that I've ever been to. And it was probably one of the best weekends of my life. And a lot of people said the same. And I'm not sure if it was, we were just listening to Alex, and we were talking to people, there were some fantastic people there. But all of the music Alex played was in 4-3-2, and I kid you not, we were all there, absolutely absorbing it in. And it was so good, we're doing it again. So, this year, the September the 21st to the 25th, am I right, is something called Guru Gathering, which we're having in Spain. Now, Dave Mannals is organising it a little bit with Alex, so I'm going to get Dave to come up, tell us all about it, tell you where you can buy your tickets. If you're going to go to an event this year, just one, this will be the best thing for you to do. Dave, tell us all about it.
I can't see it from this side.
A year and a half ago, I called up Alex and I said, listen, I'd like to do a festival or like a gathering, and with you as a headliner. I've got this mate out in Portugal who's got a bit of land. Maybe we can do it out there. Fuck that! I'm not traveling out of Portugal. Why don't we do it at my place, he says. So we did it at his place and it was phenomenal. This year we're doing it a little bit bigger. Alex has got the Centerpiece Guru Gathering, which is a one-day event. He can talk more about that, where he's got big sound, lighting, bar, the whole 9 yards, right on the beach. It's awesome. And Andrea and I, my wife, we agreed with him to do like a wraparound so that people traveling out to Spain could have the thing that we got so much from last time, which was people getting together and having free time just to talk with each other, hang out, maybe have a beer, have a swim or whatever. So we've hired a venue, like a villa with a pool, and we're going to have a coffee shop and put on meals and that kind of thing. We've got a first day that we're getting people together on the beach. Then we're getting together at this villa, and then Alex is having his big day. Was that the 22nd, Alex?
On the Tuesday,
yeah, the 22nd. So it's the Sunday, Monday, and then the Tuesday is Alex's Guru Gathering, and then we've got 2 more days at the villa to make it into a 5-day phenomenal flat earth or truth-seeking gathering. So that's basically that. We've got a website which is Love, Truth, Sovereignty. You can get all the information there or at Alex's conspiracymusicguru.com. Anything else?
No, that's it, Dave. That's brilliant. Thank you.
So listen, all of the information is on the Flat Earth Social Telegram group. I have a question at the back. Hold on, just at the back there. Do you want to stand up for us, Jasper? Jasper will be playing live with Alex in Spain. He's a great bass guitarist. Right, now, I have a question, Alex, so I'm going to take this over to the back here. Hold on.
Hi, Alex. Might be a fundamentally silly question, but listening to 432 Puritone and Solfeggio, irrespective of listening through an iPad all night, do you actually get the pure tone on 432 through an iPad?
Yeah, it's a good question. A lot of people ask me that question. Is do like streaming platforms like Spotify or iTunes or whatever your streaming service, do they actually change the frequency? No, they don't. They don't change it. If I release an album on Spotify or iTunes, it remains in 432 hertz. That's the good news. The bad news is they compress it. As I showed in that slide, they will compress it to an MP3. I think Spotify maybe 192 kilobits per second, maybe 320, but at the end of the day, they're still removing at least 80% of the audio information. So if you're going to listen to solfeggio music, 432 hertz music, don't use these streaming platforms, please. Go and buy the actual uncompressed, unbastardized WAV formats that are on my website. So, no, they don't change the frequency, but they will bastardize it in terms of compression.
Thank you very much.
Oh, not going far.
Was Michael Jackson portrayed his music?
Can you repeat the question, please? I didn't quite hear that.
Michael Jackson's music, for years it was really beautiful music, wasn't he? And the one all those songs.
Was the question, does Michael Jackson record in 432 hertz?
Yeah.
Did he?
No. There's a lot of misinformation. A lot of people say, Jimi Hendrix recorded in 432, Pink Floyd recording in 432. I have no evidence of that whatsoever. And I've tested the tuning of a lot of these bands that are claimed to for instance, Jimi Hendrix tuned down a semitone. That doesn't mean he's in 432. It means he's just tuned down one semitone, still in fourth. So you're tuning. He was tuning from E to E flat or D sharp. Doesn't mean he's in 432. It just means he's dropped down a semitone. It's just a warmer sound, but he's still in 440. Pink Floyd the same. I've found no evidence of Pink Floyd or Michael Jackson tuning or even Prince, even though he knew that 432 was the gold standard. Of course, but he's signed to these labels, and they all put out this music.
The record companies will
Of course, yeah, of course. The only artist that I've found that has recorded a couple of songs in 432 was Bob Marley. There's 2 songs that I found that he recorded in 432 hertz. I can't remember. I think one was Buffalo Soldier. I'm not sure. I can't remember the titles of the songs. But there was 2 songs from Bob Marley that I found, and I went through and I tested them, but no evidence that Michael Jackson recorded in 432. Also Jimi Hendrix and Pink Floyd and all of that. So no.
Any other questions, ladies and gentlemen?
Yeah, she's got another one.
Okay, she's got another one. The Michael Jackson lady's got another one. Hold on.
How do you test them?
Was the question, how do I test them?
Test them, yeah.
Right, well, the difference between 432 and 440 is very, very slight, but with someone with an ear, they can hear the difference. I can hear the difference immediately. But I have a digital tuner, 432 hertz tuner. If I'm playing my guitar in 432 hertz and I've got another guitarist next to me playing in 440 hertz, the difference is immediate. Even someone without an ear for music can hear the discordant thing going on there. So I can test quite simply by listening to somebody singing or listening to a note and then testing it with my 432 hertz tuner and going, well, that's off. And I can hear it sharp. If it's in 440, it's sharp to my 432. So I can test it quite easily with just a $20 432 hertz tuner.
We're working the room. This is Jackie, lovely Jackie.
Hi there. Yeah. On Facebook, they've been advertising this thing called Calamity, and that's all about hertz. The doctor that you talked about at the end of your presentation, he's supposed to. It's something to do with him, and it says that there is a frequency that can kill parasites in your body. Would you believe that?
Well, I mean, yeah, I think there's a frequency that can, I mean, what those particular, I mean, I have a list of the frequencies that Royal Raymond Rife, who was the inventor of the Rife machine.
Yeah, that's who it is.
Yeah, okay. Well, I have a PDF. If anybody wants this PDF, happily to email it to you. And this PDF shows every frequency that could heal every human ailment that you could think of, toothache to diarrhea to headaches to cancer to parasites to everything. So I believe there's a frequency that can heal every human ailment. I think Rife discovered that, I think. So if anybody wants that Rife frequency list, I can happily give it to you. And you can do your own test. You could basically go online and type in frequency generator. And then if you look at the Rife frequency list and it says, oh, the frequency for toothache is 1,464 hertz, then just type that into your frequency generator. Listen to that if you've got a toothache, and listen to that for an hour and see if your toothache goes away. So I'll happily give you that list, but I do believe there's a frequency that can heal every human ailment for sure.
Brilliant. Thank you so much. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, hold on.
Hi, Alex. When I couldn't sleep, I still probably can't really, somebody said to do binaural beats, which is a sound frequency in one ear and a different frequency in the other ear, and then your brain creates a third frequency. Do you know anything about that? I mean, that just sounded very confusing to my brain, but...
Yeah, I know a bit about binaural beats, but most people listen to binaural beats on Spotify and Apple Music, which I'm not a fan of. I mean, I would look at those frequencies. I would test them. I mean, there might be an element of placebo there, of course, but I don't know about. I guess the proof is in the pudding with that. I would say just. There's a lot of misinformation about solfeggio, and this is the problem. Like, there's so much misinformation. When you type in, is the global eye, and Google will feed you nothing but nonsense. And the same is true with solfeggio healing frequencies and healing frequencies of any kind. And solfeggio specifically, there's a lot of misinformation about that. I've got a lot of information about on my sister website called healingwithfrequencies.net. So The binaural thing I haven't looked into so much. It kind of feels a little bit discordant if you're having one frequency in one ear and one frequency in another. I don't know. I've not tested it myself.
Did it help you sleep, Danny?
No.
No.
There's your answer. There you go. There it is.
Everybody kept saying about it, and I thought, that is really confusing. That's driving me mad. No.
Yeah.
Right. Well, I think.
Thank you, Alex.
There's your answer. There's your answer right there.
All right. I've got some frisson. I don't know if everyone gets it. Not everyone gets it. Frisson. Frisson is something when you hear music. It's like a feeling of like an orgasm. Yeah, so I know when music's good. I do music as well. I've got like 60 cents music playing. What if I did some music at 440 and then dropped it down to 432? Would I be losing frequencies or not? Or do you have to originally start up, tune up 432 and lock and record it in that way?
Yeah, I think it was very garbled that I couldn't really hear it, but I think what you're asking is if I take a 440 song and then convert it to 432, will it still have the same power? Is that the correct?
Yes.
Right. Well, I think it loses something in the conversion personally. You're using software and digital software to convert something. I'm a big fan of creating everything from scratch. All my guitars here, I've got about 15 guitars, all my digital instruments, everything's tuned to 432. And I'm a big fan of like just creating it completely unbastardized, completely uncompressed, and making it that what it should be from my intent with the right frequency. If you take that file and then start converting it, it's going to lose something. I mean, what file are you taking in 440? Are you taking an MP3 at 440 and then converting it to 432? It's going to, every time you convert something, it's going to lose something. So I'm a big fan of like you shouldn't have to convert. Don't convert because, you're going to lose something in that process, I think. So I'm a big fan of, people listening to music or creating music from 432 from scratch. Then there's no conversion, there's no bastardization. You're not using software to try and I would say if you've got a music library that's all tuned to 440 and you want to convert it to 432, it's probably going to be better, I would say, but I don't think it's going to be as pure as listening to music that's made with the right intent and completely unbastardized and not converted in any kind of way. You kind of just listening to it in its purest form. I'm a fan of that.
Gotcha. Right, so I'll try and do that now. So I'll retune down and start. Cool. That's it.
Excellent. Right. Any more questions, guys? Yeah, got one here. Sorry. There you go, Martin. All right.
Hi, Alex. Mark Knopfler out of Dire Straits. I heard that he did most of his music in 432. I mean, when you go Telegraph Road and things like that.
I think that's bollocks, mate.
Okay.
So you strongly disagree, is what you're saying, right?
Yeah, strongly disagree. Strongly disagree. I mean, send me it. I mean, I guarantee if I listen. I mean, I love Dire Straits. I love Mark Knopfler. I think he's a very great musician. I grew up on Dire Straits. Eric Clapton as well. And so I love that kind of Stratocaster, slow hand solo. I love all that, the actual, and David Gilmour, Pink Floyd. I love that slow hand, not going a million miles an hour, just like enough to make the guitar sing. I love that sound, which is kind of what I do in True Solfeggio. But I guarantee you, if I tested Mark Knopfler's frequency in what he recorded in, it ain't going to be 432. I'm pretty sure of that.
That's fair enough. The thing is, you like Alex Michael's music the best now. And we know that's 432.
Excellent. Right. Any more questions from the floor?
Yes.
Oh, it's going insane.
Can you get 432 out of any speaker?
If it's originally recording in 432 hertz, yeah, absolutely. As I said, if I've released my albums on Spotify, iTunes, and all of these streaming platforms, it remains in 432 hertz. Yes, there's not a speaker conspiracy. There's not an iTunes conspiracy where if you upload an album, they will change nefariously the frequency of it. No, they won't do that. But what they will do, they will compress.
So you get like a really cheap set of disposable earphones that you get off an aircraft.
Yeah, as long as the music is done in 432.
Yeah, but even I'm a big fan of, like, if you're going to listen to music, like, gone are the days where we used to like buy a vinyl record and sit and immerse ourselves and close our eyes and really immerse ourselves in the music. And my solfeggio albums are designed for that. People listen to music in the background. It's on in the car while they're working. And gone are the days where they actually like put a really good set of good quality headphones on or a good sound system and shut your eyes and immerse yourself in the music. People don't do that anymore. I wish people did. My solfeggio albums are designed for just that. So if you're going to listen to music, why not remove all the distractions and shut your eyes and immerse just like we used to do back in the day. We don't do that anymore. It's just so in the background, and it's just like while you're working. And it's such a shame because music could be very, very powerful and profound, as you saw from those testimonies, if we only immersed ourselves in this music. But having it on in the background and a shitty pair of like you say, plain earphones, that's not good enough for me, man.
Excellent. Andrea, you got it.
So I'm going to ask a question that I know the answer to. Will you be paying 432 at the jury gathering?
Of course, come on.
So tell us more about the jury gathering.
That's exactly where I was going next. Thank you, Andrea. Alex, can you tell us about... We've just had Dave telling us about the wraparound event a little bit. Tell us what's happening on the day.
Ooh,
the big day.
Very exciting. I'm really excited about it because I've had to step it up musically. You know, a lot of you were here last year at my little villa here, and we just had a little, you know, a kind of a small gathering, and I didn't really advertise it. I didn't really go public with it. It was only really for close followers and Patreon supporters and that. And I just said, hey, by the way, having a party. And, oh, by the way, I got married here at my villa as well, and I had all the music playing in 432 hertz there that day as well. And the vibe was incredible. It's one of the best days of my life. And this gathering that I had last September was again like, I'm utterly convinced that the 432 had a part to play in that. So when I realised this frequency, there's something to this frequency. It's like, well, and there's something to like meeting people in person as well, and you know, those face-to-face things. It's something that the lights went on for me. It's like, oh, we got to do more of this. So we're going to step it up this year. So I can't do it at my my villa anymore because my plumbing just. I mean, maybe some of you have heard the stories, but the plumbing.
Yeah, I know that toilet well.
Yeah. So now we found this incredible venue, and I'm very lucky to have secured it. And it's right on the beach. It's like literally 10 meters away from the beach. And it's like it doubles up as a nightclub. It's literally a nightclub, but they're letting us have it for the day. And it's got a big stage, and it's got light, and it's got speakers and everything. It's going to be so we're having to step up the performance. So now we've got a bass player in Jasper. God bless you, Jasper, over there. By the way, hey man.
I love you, mate.
So now we're like rehearsing for this kind of. It's not going to be a concert. It's still going to be a gig, but it's good. We have to step up the sound a little bit. And so now we've got this bigger venue. We've got a stage. We've got lights. We're like, oh god, we've got a bass now. Well, we need drums. So I'm doing. We've got a digital drummer now, which is going to be cool. Which I'll introduce on the night. Digital drummers are brilliant, by the way, because they always turn up on time. They don't get drunk. They don't have a coke habit. They don't sleep with the barmaid. It's fucking brilliant.
Have you got a kit there?
No, they don't need a kit. It's
no,
digital.
Okay, because I'll drum for you.
Oh, great. Well, you're on the bongos, mate. That's your job. So now we've got this full sound. So I think we can feel this. And I think that, you know, just the being with all of these people and providing this music and we're having to step up musically, and it's going to be more of a performance now, and it's going to be more of a kind of MTV Unplugged kind of thing. It's still going to be acoustic, but if you saw what we achieved with 2 acoustic guitars last year at my villa, we had like a festival vibe. It was incredible how we achieved that with 2 acoustic guitars. So God only knows what we're going to do in this bigger venue with a bass player and also a digital drummer. It just like fills the sound. So I think great things are going to happen. And what better place to do it than in Javier, man? It's gorgeous here.
Yeah, Alex, tell us, how do you buy tickets for your event?
Conspiracymusicguru.com, simple as that, and click on events. And so yeah, it's good. There's going to be food and drink is included. There's going to be us guys, the Guru band. I think we're calling ourselves. That might change, but I think it's apt for the gathering. And Mark Devlin's going to be playing after us. I think we're talking about Steve Young also doing a bit of a set from midnight as well. Food and drinks included. It's going to be, and Sunshine's going to be guaranteed. So yeah, conspiracymusicguru.com and click on events, and all the information is there about the food that's going to be served and the free bar that's going to be open for about 3 hours. There's a lot going on, and of course the wraparound events. It's going to be a week of just pure joy. If last year's anything to go by, I can't wait. But obviously there's a bit of nerves. We're having to rehearse. We want to get this set like in our DNA, so we don't even have to think about the chord changes. We just want to do it like without even have to think about it. That's the goal, and that's very difficult.
Coming over soon for that.
Say again?
I'll be coming over soon, mate.
Great, I can't wait, mate. I can't wait. It's going to be awesome. How are you getting on with the rehearsals, by the way, mate?
Yeah, very well, very well.
Sweet. No fucking mistakes, Jasper.
C, not D, all right? Jesus.
No pressure, mate. No pressure.
Ladies and gentlemen, any more for Alex? Listen, firstly, Alex, thank you very much, my friend. I can't wait to see you again in September. But for now, ladies and gentlemen, please give it up for the wonderful Alex Michael from Conspiracy Music Guru. Alex, God bless you, my friend. We'll see you soon, buddy.
Cheers, mate.
Thanks, mate. Maybe not.